Welcome back to the program Power to Unite with Elvira. Andito po tayo sa Cebu City kung saan po magkakaroon tayo ng panibagong interview. Hulaan po ninyo kung sino dahil po ito ay isang napakagandang ma-interview natin. Walang iba kundi si His Excellency Most Reverend 𝗨𝗶𝘶𝗵. Siya po ay nunsyo po sa 5 bansa. Ang pinakahuli po ay walang iba kundi Korea. Ano kaya ang pag-uusapan namin at bakit po tayo masaya? Kasi po matagal na namin siya hinahangad na makausap at ngayon pinabigyan niya tayo. Kaya subaybayan ninyo ano ang pag-usapan namin because it will be very interesting to all of you sa pagbabalik ng Power to Unite with Elvira. Your Excellency, nako, I'm so happy to meet you by accident. Kasi matagal ko na po pangarap na sabi ko, you remember when I was in Korea 2 years ago, sabi ko, yung story ninyo, yung mga experience nyo sa mga bansa na kung saan po kayo na-assign, napaka-interesting. But you told me hindi pa panahon. So when we saw each other a few minutes ago, maybe this morning, sabi ko, wow, this is my chance really to be, to interview you kasi I'm sure the listener, the televiewers will really learn a lot, no? And you can inspire them also to join the Holy See, di ba? Kasi ang kailangan din natin ng mga pare, ng mga nuncio, future nuncio, no? Ngayon, Your Excellency, bago po natin pag-usapan yung bakit ka naging nuncio, I would like to know yung background niyo po na bakit gusto niyo naging pare? At bakit naging nuncio kayo? All the things I say, you can become a doctor, you can become engineer. Di ba? Sino ang nag-inspire sa inyo sa priesthood?
You know, when I joined the seminary, it just came spontaneously.
Talaga.
And later on, when I was looking at vocation, I found that to your question, I can only give half an answer. The human answer, because there is the divine answer. The vocation actually, which is very true, starts in the family.
Okay.
The piety in the family is the one that makes me feel that we have to serve God in some way or another. Since I was small, we're praying the rosary every night.
Okay.
My mother had 2 elder brothers who were priests.
Okay.
And they were exemplary priests. And I said, I want to be like them. A very young age, 11 years old, I told my father, I want to be a priest. And it is interesting because the Augustinian fathers also asked me if I would like to become an Augustinian priest. I told my mother, I want to be an Augustinian priest. And my mother said, if you become Augustinian, they will send you out to the Philippines for novitiate and training, and you will never come back to the Philippines.
Okay.
So I decided to become a diocesan priest. My uncle was very happy. And then I entered the minor seminary. After minor seminary, Archbishop Rosales, Cardinal Rosales, sent me to Manila, and then sent me out of the Philippines.
You avoided to be in the...
I chose to be in the Philippines, but they said you have to go and study. And when I came back, I was asked to go back and work out of the Philippines. So I cannot give a full answer on why.
Okay.
But I think I look at it all with the eyes of God's providence. And I always think that God has His plans. My mother always says, we make the plans, but God decides the plans.
Totoo po yun.
Yes.
So in your family, so you mentioned that the reason why you are now become a priest, it's because of divine providence, because of the piety of your family, especially with your mother. But is your mother just a plain housewife? And how about your father?
Yeah, the whole family was my grandmother was Catholic. Was very practicing Catholic. And what impressed me when I was young was my grandmother woke up every night at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was her prayer for priests. And then my mother took it up, but I did not understand at that time. Sometimes we were even laughing because it was a very what we call ritual prayer, but it was sincere. And this is how vocation is really very important in family life.
Yes.
So vocation starts, the seed of priesthood starts in the family, unless of course God plants it somewhere. My father is the same. My father was always joined us with our prayers, and he always left us to our decisions. You know, we are 13 in the family.
Wow.
And we have doctors, and I have another brother who is also apostolic nuncio now in Kuwait.
Okay.
And it was also he who made that decision. And sometimes said, well, why don't you take another vocation? I said, no, I want to be a priest like my elder brother. So the whole thing is God's way of choosing. He uses human contacts to really make us follow Him.
Is your father a teacher or
my father was a doctor.
Ah, okay.
My mother was a pharmacist, but she retired after the 5th child, because she had to take care of all of us.
Oh, wow, with 13 children.
Yeah, 13 children.
Now I understand why, you were allowed to choose what you like. Kasi with 13 children, so somebody already, two of your brother or sister follow the footstep, di ba? So, hindi naman nasasaktan daddy mo. Kasi I was about to ask you, hindi ba siya nag-react? Bakit walang ayaw mag-pharmacist, walang ayaw mag-doctor? Pero since meron naman, so you were given the chance to choose
given the chance, but they also had what we call, they knew that at that time, life as a priest was not easy.
Yes.
In the 50s, it was not easy from the material point of view. It was not easy from the spiritual point of view, because my father, during the war, adopted 4 or 5 seminarians because the seminary was closed.
Okay.
And so they stayed with us when we were in the mountains hiding from the Japanese. And so he knew that most of these priests had also difficulties. So he knew that life as a priest is not easy. In fact, he was always thinking, think twice before you become a priest. Because materially, it is not an easy vocation. I don't now, it's still the same. And spiritually, it is difficult because we cannot control you anymore.
Okay. So what is your answer to that? You accept the challenge?
My answer was, I just want to become a priest. 11 years old. And I remember
firm,
he called me to his office. And he said, now we make the decision, because tomorrow I will send you to the seminary if you say yes. And I remember that everybody knew. I cried and said, please let me go. And he was happy that I made that decision.
Talagang determined ka na talaga, no?
Well, that is why even my sisters, my brothers now ask, at 11 years old, you were determined? Well, I couldn't say determined, but I said, well, I will go, because that was the only thing I knew. I want to go from the beginning.
Is there any moment during your 11 years of life na something struck you, or let's say kahit sa panaginip, na makes you na this is...
No, nothing.
No? Okay, meron ka bang feeling na the Lord is calling you to serve
Well,
Him?
I did not get technical voice, microphone saying, come.
Okay.
Everything was directed towards that desire. Or everything was directed towards making that desire.
Okay.
And that I cannot explain. As I said, if you ask an explanation, I can give you only half. I wanted to become a priest. Why I wanted to become a priest? That's God to answer.
Nung you chose, di ba, the Archbishop Rosales, who becomes the cardinal, no, sa Cebu, sent you to Manila, and then asked you to study abroad. What is your reaction nung pinapadala?
At that time, the Philippine College was just opened.
Okay.
He committed to send 5 students to Rome. And again, I did not know how I was chosen, but he just called me one evening and said, we are sending you to Rome. And my parents said, look, it is difficult for us, because him to be at 19 years old to go to Rome. And they said, no, 19 years old, he can go to Rome. I will send Archbishop Salvador to accompany him. So I was accompanied to Rome. Secondly, I said, well, we are 13 children, and to maintain studies in Rome and 12 other children in the university is quite a burden to the family. I said, no, there's diocese that is sending you.
Okay.
And so I am very grateful to Cardinal Rosales, because he really had faith in me that you go. And I said, look, I'm just 19 years old, a student.
Very young.
Yeah.
Double R is now at Radio Bandido, an informative program that tackles all issues concerning all walks of life, delivering hottest issues and events, with health consultations on air and a lot more, with your host veteran newsman, 𝗣ποι𝘄𝗲𝗿, and master entrepreneur, 𝗨𝗶𝘶𝗄𝗏. Double R sa Radio Bandido every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. You can catch Double R on 𝗍𝗏𝗃 8:10 a.m., Radio Bandido TV channel 224, TV Plus boxes, and streaming live on Facebook/𝗍𝗏𝗃 8:10 a.m. and YouTube channel 𝗍𝗏𝗃 8:10 a.m. Radio Bandido.
What is the reaction of your mother? Kasi considering ayaw ka nga niya umalis, tapos ngayon palayo ng palayo.
I asked her before she died, and she just smiled.
Ah, okay.
She just smiled, and I remember every year I would come back. The first 10 years, she went to Manila to meet me.
Okay.
The next 10 years, she went to the airport to meet me.
Okay.
The next 10 years, she was at the gate to meet me. The last 10 years, she was in bed to waiting for me. And this is how I see how God really plans you to be everything for you. And I accept that.
And also she accepted it.
She accepted it. And she was the one who said,
moment.
Go because your bishop sends you.
So
and,
may obedience then at the same time.
Yeah, she was more obedient than me.
Yes, yes.
You know,
because she has more faith.
And I knew that she was suffering from her heart, to send me away. She was the one who said, go back to Rome because the bishop or the Holy See asks you to go. And so that is how I ended up in this diplomatic service.
Pero at the time when you were sent to Rome, you didn't know it's a diplomatic...
no, it was just, I was supposed to teach in the seminary.
Ah, okay.
So...
At the age of 19?
Yeah, to study, finish the doctorate, and come back and teach in the seminary. When I finished my studies, I came back.
What course is that?
Theology.
Theology.
Doctorate of theology. At that time, it was just the end of Vatican II.
Okay.
And the Holy See was trying to internationalize the priests working in the Roman Curia.
Ah, okay.
So they were looking for non-Italians to be trained and be formed in the Holy See. And I was the first to go.
Filipino.
First Filipino. And there's a school for diplomatic school in Rome, our own West Point, where I had to undergo 4 years of
training.
It's severe training, but it is good training. You train in history, in languages, in diplomacy, in everything.
They said that if you want to become a good diplomat, it's the one that Holy See is the best training because it's so strict, so disciplined, you know. So as you said, it's a very holistic approach.
It's a very holistic approach, but there's a joke that says, they always say that the diplomats of the Holy See are number one. Then there was a cardinal who said, if the diplomats in the Holy See are number one, I would like to know, and I cannot imagine who is number two.
Yes.
But ours is disinterested service.
Yes.
We work for the Holy Father, and we have direct line to the Holy Father, and which is rather complex if you are in the Philippines or in Korea because of the difference of time. The noon time is when the Holy Father sends his directives, and Secretary of State sends his directives, and which is 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And sometimes we work till late at night because the
time schedule. Yeah.
Costa Rica was even worse because noon time was 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And sometimes you have to wake up. No?
Adaptation of the change of time. No, I was told the reason why many give up, although it's a very good training background, kasi raw ang daming protocol, parang they couldn't live with that kind of strict implementation.
No, protocol is the last thing that we are taught.
Okay.
The first thing we are taught is to be priest. And every time the Pope greets us twice a year, you must first be a priest. Okay. If you are not a good priest, you are not a good diplomat for the Holy See.
Ah, okay.
And the hard part is that you are away from the parish. And so many priests, they feel that their vocation is to be in a parish church. And ours is more on the diplomatic pastoral side, where, as I said, Pope John the 23rd always saw the pastoral side in every letter that he read. So ours is more what we call bureaucratic but pastoral at the same time. But parish work is not part of it. So many priests, I had many classmates who missed the parish and who decided to go back to the parish. And the Holy Father said, look, this is as good as a parish because you are working directly for the Pope.
Okay. The art of, negotiating with being a priest. So ang moral side is very strong.
If you are not a good priest, you are not a good diplomat for the Holy See.
Yeah, that's why.
Our training is to make a balance, not only on the material side or psychological but good balance on the part of the church. So we have to know a lot of church history, know a lot about, of course, canon law, and but the balancing part is really the priestly part, because you cannot say he's wrong or right. Maybe from the political side you can make a decision, but ours is not a political decision we have to make. And so this is how the diplomatic service of the Holy See is different. Another difference is, for example, if you are a diplomat of the Holy See, a diplomat of, let us say, one country, let's say of Colombia or America, is in the Philippines, he serves the interest of his country.
Yes.
He works for America, he works for... But the diplomat of the Holy See, we work for the country. We work for the interest of the Holy Father. And where is the interest of the Holy Father? In the country. So we are working really for the good of the country we are assigned to. Well, a diplomat, political diplomat, defends his country. We defend the people through working through the bishops. So this is something a big difference between what is a diplomat of the Holy See and a diplomat of another country. We have no country because the Pope is universal. Actually, I miss the parish, and I told Cardinal Rosales, I want to go back.
Oh, okay.
And I had my bags ready, and he came and said, look, the parish is as good as where you are. And I remember when I left, if you remember, Nuncio Rocco, who was here in the Philippines.
Yes.
And he said, look, it is the same feeling when I was a young priest. I had the same idealism to work in the parish. But that mentality of parish is good only as long as you are a good priest. You can always have that parish experience with you in another type of work that you experience yourself.
Which I agree, no?
Because if you do not have that priestly spirit, wherever you are lost.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, and if you have that priestly spirit, wherever you are, you will find that spiritual satisfaction of serving the church.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We miss the people,
yeah.
We miss the public, but at the same time, there is a new direction because you are serving directly the Holy Father, who is universal.
You're also serving directly the people of that country you are being assigned to without your knowing it. It's also like a parish.
I can see the difference.
No?
For example, when I visit the parish, my first instinct is to go down and meet the people.
Yes.
I think in the Philippines it's the same.
Yes.
And then the parish priest will say, no, you should not do that. No, you should stay in the room and then we'll take you out for formal protocol. Okay. So no, that's not what I came here for. I came to meet the parish. And the same also in the Philippines, the people want to meet the representative of the Holy Father, not to hide in a room and then time for ceremony come out. You know? So this is something that consoles us, but sometimes disappoints us because we are being hidden and then just shown like some prize gift of the parish priest to the people. But we want to meet the people.
You really go out of your way to meet them. If they come to you, you give them your chance to be near you, no? So, nagulat ako because as you said nga, some were being trained that you are only up there. It's only when there's an occasion you are going to be present. But in your case,
some people hide under protocol.
Yes.
Protocol is good only when to keep one's rights. But that is also protocol. For us to meet the people is the best protocol. To meet them with kindness, with friendship, and with compassion, and to show them that we are available.
Yeah.
And my point when I was in Korea, for example, was a few people went to the nunciature in Korea because many do not speak English.
Yeah, that's right.
So I had to get an extra expense to hire 2 interpreters so that they can come. Anybody can come
Anytime.
and present their desires, their case, some cases complaints, but in Korean, so that they are free to write or to come and
they are welcome.
welcome.
Maganda po yan. Itutuloy po namin ang aming magandang pag-usapan sa pagbabalik po ng Power Tonight with Elvira.
𝗨𝗃𝗄𝗏𝗵 is a news-oriented program that tackles topical issues and headlines with the support of DZRJ field reporters. Hosted by the legendary Jimmy Morato, Monday to Friday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 810 AM, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and on YouTube channel DZRJ 810 AM, Radio Bandido.
Your Excellency, I'm glad you share with us, your life, your dream to become a priest, which is really your determination until, you were sent to Rome and then you studied with the diplomatic circle in Rome, no? At tas ngayon nakita natin, di ba, as you said, you have to put your heart into it. It's not very easy because, it's both spiritual, humanitarian at the same time. And then you deal also with bureaucracy, with spiritual aspect, with people, alam natin, pagkaiba ng Holy See diplomats are very different from any ordinary countries na sila nakapokus what the political will of that country is, pero sa inyo hindi You really become, because the Pope is very universal.
The Pope is in the country.
Yeah.
The interest of the Pope is in the country.
Everywhere you go, he is there, right?
Yes,
So whatever country you represent,
he is interested in
Pope,
justice, he's interested in also material progress.
It's very holistic approach.
It's a total approach, a holistic approach.
Yeah. After, nag-graduate ka na ng 4 years. 4 years, no?
4 years, yeah. 4 years.
So what is your first assignment? Kasi alam ko, hindi ganun kadali.
I was 3 years in Sri Lanka.
The first.
Mm-hmm. Then 3 years in Haiti at the time of the famine.
Oh, okay.
Then I was, 4 years in Nigeria. And then I was 3 years in Ireland. I was 4 years in Mexico as counselor, and then 2 years in France. From there, I was named nuncio to Panama, where I stayed for 5 years. And then, for 4 years, nuncio to Nigeria. And for another 4 years, nuncio to Costa Rica. And for 9.5 years, nuncio to Korea and Mongolia.
Sri Lanka at that time, I remember medyo nasa limelight siya because of this
Civil War.
Yeah, no, Civil War.
Yes.
It's really, tsaka alam natin, Sri Lanka, is it a Catholic country? Di ba? It's more
Sri Lanka is
Buddhist.
10% Catholic,
Okay.
but very Catholic. Sri Lanka was Christianized by Saint Francis Xavier.
Okay.
So the coastal area of Sri Lanka is Catholic, but it's 10%. Majority is Buddhist. Mm-hmm. And the civil war between the Hindus and some extremist Buddhists has aggravated the situation, the religious situation. Mm-hmm. And I was sent to Sri Lanka for the second time to organize and pacify the visit of Pope St. John Paul II.
Okay.
And because there was a lot of objections and fear of civil war. Mm-hmm. But in fact, I told them, well, what is my purpose? Just see that the visit is a success. Well, I need your prayers to have the success of the visit. Mm-hmm. And my first thing was, I went to the poor clares. If the visit is a success, I need your prayers. And they succeeded.
you are one of those very, very lucky nuncio who has witnessed the visit of several pope, right? Una sa Nigeria, Sri Lanka, then Korea.
Three visits.
Three visits. Not every nuncio has that kind of experience. I think you are the only one, kasi the others, even if they retired, the nuncio, the Pope never visited them. Pero ikaw, three, no? In your how many years of services in the diplomatic, Holy See diplomatic?
Equivalent to 47 years.
47 years. Imagine. So, 2 Pope ang nadatnan yun. O 3 Pope.
No. I graduated Paul VI. Then John Paul II, then Pope Benedict, and then Pope Francis. So 4 popes.
4 popes,
Popes. And I met all of them. I met Pope John Paul II maybe 20 times. And Pope Francis now maybe about 8-10 times. Yeah. Because we have direct access to the Holy Father, which is the biggest privilege you have. No?
Yeah. Ako, Your Excellency, our time is really very limited. Pero itutuloy po natin because ito, ano pa lang to, fraction of your experience lang as a nuncio in 4 countries. So, pwede natin pag-usapan yan sa pagbabalik po ng Power to Unite. Next week, abangan niyo po kasi mas makakaroon po kayo ng interest kung bakit siya po ang napili natin ma-interview. I know you have been listening and most of you, kung very interested kayo, you listen and maybe you can be trained as a future Holy See diplomat. Hanggang sa muli dito po sa programa ng Power to Unite with Elvira. See you next week.
Join Arnel Doria as he explores the world of travel, transportation, road safety, and the environment. Tune in to Good Trip every Saturday at 1 to 2 p.m. on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 a.m. and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 a.m. Radio Bandido.
Welcome back to the program Power to Unite with Elvira. Andito na po tayo sa part 2 ng ating magandang conversation with His Excellency Most Reverend Osvaldo Padilla na former nuncio sa 4 na bansa. At alam niyo po, ang pinakahuli ay walang iba kundi Korea. Last week, marami kaming pinag-usapan kung bakit po naging pari siya and he believes it's really the divine providence, is really the will. But at the same time, nakita po natin, very determined kasi siya, no? So, lahat na nangyayari, sometimes, is beyond his control. But bakit po? Kung papanurin natin ang susunod namin maganda usapan, then you will realize why the Holy Spirit chose him, what is his mission. Siya po ang pag-uusapan namin sa pagbabalik po ng Power to Unite with Elvira. Your Excellency, napakaganda po na ma-experience mo no, nung when you decided to become a priest at the age of 11. Tapos nakita mo how the Holy Spirit, how the divine providence really willed you to something beyond your control. No? Tapos nakita natin na yung training na hindi mo in-expect, yun ang binigay sa'yo. Now you understand why you are being asked to be a nuncio, no? Na although very challenging, kasi ang first assignment mo was really Sri Lanka, na alam po natin, was really nasa limelight parati because of civil war, di ba? And then, sabi mo, 10% lang ang Catholic because mostly are Buddhist. Nung naging nuncio ka dito, second time, and then especially with the visit of his Pope John II, no? Siya yun,
John Paul II.
Saint John Paul, yeah, that's late Saint Paul John II. No, nung siya doon, kasi he is known to be an actor. He is known to be a person with a very good sense of humor. You know, so during his visit, kasi alam natin, the situation is very dangerous. Andun ba yung kaba mo? Is there any anecdote while you are with him or during the preparation that you had encounter? Kasi it's not very easy at that time eh. Malaking challenge po ito sa inyo as a nuncio, di ba?
Yes. When I received the telegram from Panama, I was not supposed to go to Sri Lanka.
Yes.
But since I was already assigned in Sri Lanka, I was supposed to know some of the Buddhist leaders.
Ah, okay.
And so maybe we can resolve the problem. So, as I told you, we get our instructions at 12 noon Rome time, which was 5 o'clock Panama time.
Yes.
And I woke up, went to the chapel, and then sent my cable and said, yes, I'm going to Sri Lanka. So when I reached Sri Lanka, the Pope had just published his book on the threshold of St. Peter's, which was a chapter dedicated to Buddhism.
Okay.
And the Buddhist leaders misinterpreted it as something against their religion.
Okay.
So they objected to the Pope's visit. So the Pope must retract before he comes.
Okay.
So this was the tension that I had to face at the beginning. I remember one afternoon, I got a call from the Secretary of State saying, in 5 minutes, we are going to the Pope.
Okay.
Your last opinion, can the Pope come to Sri Lanka or not? I was surprised. And I just said, well, let him come. He will come. I put the telephone down and I picked it up again. So my point was, why did I say yes when there are many problems for this visit?
Oo nga.
But I did not know why I said yes. Now it is incumbent on me to make this visit a success. So my first point was, I went to the poor clerks and asked for their prayers. And I said, we will pray every day for the Pope to come.
Okay.
Then the next week, I got an invitation. It was a big Buddhist festival. I got an invitation. Actually, Apostolic Nuncios would not get invitations for this kind of Buddhist festivals because they know that it is a... But when I got it, I said, I told the secretary, this is maybe this sign. So I told my secretary, answer, RSVP, yes, I am going.
Okay.
Then later on, they were surprised why I said yes. I wasn't supposed to be there. I said, look, I got your invitation. I'm saying yes, I am going.
You showed them the invitation?
No, I said, we have the invitation.
Okay.
And I'm not sending this back because the invitation was from you.
Yeah.
So I went, put on all the vestments, and there were, all the ambassadors were there. And when I arrived, I had no place. They were surprised why I had no place.
Okay.
So, some ambassadors said, Nuncio, do not worry. I'm going home. You take my place.
Okay.
I said, no. I need a place because I have this invitation.
Yes.
So they were afraid to be embarrassed before the ambassador to send me away. So they said, you go up to the chief monk.
Okay.
Above the ambassadors.
Okay.
So for 2 hours, I stayed there without saying anything, just talking, just watching the elephants go and pass. And after 2 hours, when the what we call the parade was finished, the Buddhist monk said, the Pope can come.
Imagine.
And I said, and I had 40 fever going there. And so this was a point. I didn't know how I got that invitation. And another incident was because the Saint Anthony de Padua was very also worshipped by non-Catholics, Hindus and Buddhists.
Yes.
The president of Sri Lanka called and said, maybe we can help soothe out the differences if the Pope will visit Saint Anthony de Padua Church.
Okay.
And it was impossible because we had the church about 400 meters just from the cathedral where the Pope was to meet the religious.
Okay.
And the cathedral is the main part. Anyway, Pope arrives, motorcade, stops right in front of St. Anthony de Padua. And Cardinal Sodano said, ran immediately. Maybe there's some demonstration in front because they're lying down in the road. There's nobody. He said, Holy Father, what is that a Catholic church? Yes, yes. I want to go in and take a look at the church. So we had to break the door because there was nobody. Everybody was in the cathedral.
Yes.
So we had to break the door and everybody went in and we prayed to St. Anthony de Padua and again the visit went through.
Imagine first, you got especially the invitation. Then you found out your name was not included, but you had the invitation, and then later on,
because they took the list of the ambassadors.
Yeah, you sit 2 hours with the chief monk without saying anything. You just sit by side, and I think that's the one thing he liked. You did not, how do you call that?
No debate, no discussion.
Nothing whatsoever. You just
one of the reasons I couldn't talk because I had 40 fever.
Oh, okay.
I was fast asleep with antibiotic in my head. No, but again. I should not have gone because even the doctor said don't go because you have this. I said I have to go because I think it's the only point where I can see them eye to eye and talk to them eye to eye. And luckily after the incident, the fever also left.
Good News Pilipinas with host Francis de Guzman is advocacy in action, which brings to you exclusives to enhance life's values that really matter. This program also brings forth guideposts on scriptural truths, giving hope to nations. Watch and listen on Radio Bandito TV every Sunday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. on Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, DZRJ 810 a.m., Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 a.m., and YouTube channel DZRJ 810 a.m. Radio Bandido.
When they called you in Vatican to ask whether should he come or not, without you knowing, you're very emphatic. Yes, let him come, without knowing whether
the complications.
Complication. But along the way, because I think it's because of your determination. I think that's the word. You're a very determined person. You really want to
I did not
prove,
know who put that determination in me because I was afraid.
Yeah, but you in spite of being afraid, you said yes. Isn't it? You're full of confidence. Although you don't know why you had to say. So maybe there is somebody behind you trying to help you in some way because of the courage.
And
because
there is courage of the Pope, because when he arrived, I went up the plane, and the first question from the back of the plane was saying, are they attending our interreligious dialogue?
Okay.
Everybody was quiet. And I just said, Holy Father because that question was direct. And I just said, Holy Father, I invited them, but they did not answer. He stood up and said, do not worry. I had more problems in other visits than this. So do not worry. Let us proceed in peace. And it was one of the most successful visits that he had.
Imagine. He's also very, very confident.
The assurance that he said, do not be afraid. Another point, for example, was in Nigeria. I was a counselor at that time. We were in north of Nigeria, which is mainly Sharia Muslim area.
Yes. How is it?
And he was supposed to visit the governor's palace.
Also the late Saint Pope John II.
John II. Okay. After lunch at the Archbishop's house, he was supposed to visit the governor. The governor said, no, I don't want to receive him. Just change the program. So the Pope said, okay, let's wait 1 hour here in the church. We prayed. After 1 hour, he said, let's go to the airport. In the airport, he said, put out his pocket and said, this is the speech I want to deliver to the governor. The governor will not receive me, so I will make my speech here in the airport. I made a speech, very beautiful speech. The governor regretted. The next day, he went to Lagos and said, I want to see the Pope. We said, well, Governor, you had your chance. And he wanted to see the Pope too. And another one was...
were he able to...
No, because the schedule was so tight. Another one was Same thing in Nigeria. At 2 o'clock in the morning, we got a message from Interpol. There is a threat to harm Pope John Paul II in Onitsha when he's going to Onitsha.
Okay.
So Cardinal Casaroli came down and said, shall we inform the Pope? He said, wait. 1 hour before leaving, he informed the Pope. The Pope, as if nothing, said, let's go. That's what we came here for. And whatever happens, happens, and let us go.
Grabe, no?
Very normal. No hesitation. Just said, let's go.
Parang the way it happens in Nigeria, in Sri Lanka, the way he answered you, the way, parang feeling niya. If it's
he was really, I mean,
very holy talaga.
I had my last picture of him. He was sick.
Yeah.
And he received me in an improvised office outside his bedroom.
Imagine.
And he started talking without finishing. And then at the end, when we finished, he stood up and he wanted to accompany me to the door.
Yes.
And I have a picture pushing him. Said, Holy Father, please don't
seat, yeah.
Don't accompany me because you're yes. And that was my last thing. 2 months after he died.
Imagine.
So
he was very weak already at that time.
I could hardly understand him already.
Okay, but still, he's very
But
determined.
all popes are special. All popes have been. I had the privilege of having Pope Paul VI, Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict, and everybody has its own charism, has its own what we call mystery, and his own human contact. And Pope Francis, for example, he has always that. He always says, when you have a personal problem, he always says, be joyful, be full of hope. Pope Benedict looks at you and with a professor, but also very human and always ready to help. So I have that greatest privilege of having received by the Pope, by the 4 popes, many times, and which I think I can already sort of have my life fulfilled. And of course the others, the Curia, and that's how we work, And the important thing is really that insistence of the Pope on the priesthood.
Yes.
The authentic priest a diplomat must be a priest first and foremost.
Yeah, because
you are not a good diplomat.
Yeah. Your experience in each country, the people you're going to meet, will really help you in your next mission. It will really facilitate.
What is most impressive for me, for example, Pope Francis, was the first night in Korea. I accompanied him to his bedroom.
Okay.
And he was changing.
Just
and then as I was the 2 of us, and I was leaving, he embraced me and he whispered, please pray for me. And my skin was a little bit, because how a Pope asking me to pray for him.
Yeah.
And very, very sincere, as if he was ready to kneel before me. I said, please pray for me. And the Pope is asking that, So this is one of those experiences where I could feel that he's very special too.
Yeah,
although he wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
so during his visit, I had to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning for the first 3 days. The 3rd day, I could not wake up anymore.
Because it's too early for you. Imagine all the problems of all over the world, which is what you're saying. The Pope is universal. He is the Pope of all the countries you were all assigned to, no? Grabe, pati pala ito, hindi lang political, hindi lang spiritual, lahat pala talaga hahawakan nila. That's why he said he cannot do it alone. He needs the support of all the bishops.
Yes, like he says, what can I do? I am only a Pope.
Yeah, you can see also yung humanity. And I asked him, do you see something very similar between Pope Francis and Pope, John? Sabi niya, marami raw. Because when I analyzed his life, Pope John Paul II, pare-pareho sila.
There is a big similarity.
Very similar.
Because the problems of the church, there is a big similarity on the problems of the church. And so God always sends the right person for the right time of the church.
So you believe that? No?
I believe that. I believe that. Pope Francis describes the church as the Ark of Noah. You know the Ark of Noah?
Yes.
The Ark of Noah was full of animals.
Yes.
It was sealed. So he says the Ark of Noah was smelling, but it brought salvation to Noah and his family.
Yes.
So this is the church. The church, there is a lot of materialism, there's a lot of secularism, there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of corruption, even in the Vatican. There's some priests have even been accused of sexual abuses. So this is similar time. There were no, of course, not sexual abuse in the time of Pope John the 23rd, but also modernism was there. It was creeping into the church. The church was losing its mission, losing its vision. So with Pope Francis, he wants to bring back the vision of the church back to Christ. And so John, back to Christ and back to Vatican II, of course. Because after 50 years of Vatican II, there was that we call deviation of the very spirit of the of Vatican II and the very spirit of Christ. This is why he called himself Francis, because Saint Francis received the vision from the crucifix that says, "Go and repair my church," the church of San Damiano of Assisi.
Yes, yes.
Pope Francis, go and repair my universal church. So this is why he took the name Francis, because he sees the church as a field hospital where there's plenty of sick, germs, bacteria, but there's also love, there's also care, there's also science. So the church needs to open the windows, as Pope John Paul XXIII said, open the windows and get some oxygen inside. And this is what we are working for. Put more oxygen in the local churches.
Yes.
Oxygen of the Holy Spirit.
Napaka-challenging talaga yung panahon ngayon with Pope Francis. No wonder. Kasi it's a different kind of problems that is creeping in the church right now. Na kaya pala sinabi niya, please pray for me. But it makes you very humble. Pero itutuloy po natin, Your Excellency, ating magandang conversation sa pagbabalik po ng Power to Unite with Elvira.
Be enlightened with inspiring stories. Interesting biblical features. And insightful interviews with the pillars of our Catholic faith. Power to Unite with Elvira.
Excellency, you were very blessed because you met all the four popes already.
5 popes with Pope. Well, I could not meet John Paul first.
Okay, so 5 popes, let's say, no. And now with the current one, who really visited Korea, and you were there as the nuncio of Korea, so you were able to see he wakes up early to pray and ask you, to pray for him, which is, diba, it makes you very humble. A pope asking me to pray, diba? Parang hindi ka makapaniwa. But then, if you come to analyze it, he has a heavy heart because with all the problems that is being given to him, he needs to be very strong, to be on top of everything, to make the right decision. And he needs our prayer, di ba? I-share mo dito konti, no? Why do you think the Pope Francis really is asking everyone he meets, kahit kami, pag nag-audience kami, yun ang parating last word niya, please pray for me.
Well, it is what we call the spirit of insufficiency, because to be the vicar of Christ is almost an impossible task. To be the head of the church is almost an impossible task. To lead 3,000 bishops who have their own problems is almost an impossible task. So he accepted it because he always saw that God chose him to be what we call the leader of the church, and it is a sort of humility on his part, that he needs our prayers. He wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He does his prayers after his coffee, and his prayers, and then his speeches, and then he reads and reads and reads, and he listens to everybody. And so popes are what we call extraordinary people. I mean, nobody can be pope without God's special grace.
I think so.
And so I think this is a special charism for him, that when you're a pope, you get the grace of being the pope. When you're a bishop, you get the grace of being a bishop. When you're a layman, you get the graces you need to become a good lay person. So this is, God gives us the right, what we call energy, the right vitamins, to be good bishops, good popes, and good Catholics.
As you said, he learned to accept it, and he know a lot of people expected a change, di ba? Kaya medyo, kahit na marami po nagkokontra sa kanya, maybe that's also the reason why prayers will help him also.
This is how we see the conclave is secret. But from what we hear, as the votes get counted, they would know who is coming out. And this person who is the leading candidate normally is sweating and says, no, I cannot accept. Most of the cardinals, especially those cardinals beside him, would say, accept, 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 accept. And then he needs that courage. And when this final solution comes out, final votes come out and ready to be burned, there is that acceptance. And everybody, all cardinals would say, in the name of the church, please accept. And so it is not a job that one campaigns for. No?
Yes.
It is a job that you accept, because he would have gone back easily to Argentina and
he leads a quiet life,
and be with your own people. But then he has to start all over again.
It's not political
at all. Again. And I remember he said, well, the first time I wanted to do was order a pizza. And I did not know that to order a pizza is to go through various offices, gendarmes, security, that it arrives very cold already. It's no good anymore.
Yeah.
So the first thing we did when he went to Korea, we had first night pizza.
So any message you would like to share with the televiewers or with the Filipino audience?
Yes, I have a very beautiful experience with the Filipino migrants. The migrants, the first thing they do is center their lives around the church. Not only on what we call external worship, but there is the feeling of emptiness in them, that they need
to feel
the religion, they need a Catholic church. And my message to our Filipino brothers and sisters in the Philippines is, faith is not something that we can just inherit. And I see from the migrants that their faith is something they bring with them and they live with them. So for us who are what we call fortunate to stay here in the Philippines, I mean, we have to strengthen our faith, not by just going to church, but through our lives, trying to help others. Faith alone as a word has no meaning if it does not extend to love of others. So the Filipino community, the Filipino church, has a big challenge to do, has the big challenge to face in their own families and in their own communities. So keep the faith. God will always help us.
Napakaganda po ng sharing ni His Excellency Most Reverend Osvaldo Padilla, na formerly nuncio po siya sa Korea. No? Yan po ang last assignment niya. At I'm sure kung napanood po niyo yung part 1 at recently part 2 natin interview with him, marami po kayong matutuhan. No? The reason why he became a priest, it started piety, as he said. Piety started in the family where his parents, his grandmother, then from his mother, and also through the example of his 2 uncles who become a priest. So makikita natin the family plays a very important role in molding you to be what you are today. Then, sabi niya kanina, and I agree with him also, God can be mischievous, God can be a joker. Kasi what he doesn't want, what his mother doesn't want, really is what he has been doing now. No? For almost more than 1/2, sabi ni Nuncio, na talagang doon siya, na-assign siya sa maraming bansa po, both Africa, Latin America, even here in Asia. To be a nuncio is not very easy. It needs a lot of training. Sabi niya, the advice given to him by Cardinal Rosales that you cannot become a good diplomat if you are not a good priest. Tama. So marami po kayong matutuhan sa kanyang experience, which he happily shared it with us. Na alam ko po, hindi pwede sabihin while he is active as the nunciature. But you can see this experience, how the Holy Spirit works, especially the visit of His Holiness sa Sri Lanka. Doon natin makikita, there is an unseen hand working hand in hand with you if you really are very determined to do service to your country, to your Pope, to your people. Sana nagustuhan po ninyo ang aming magandang episode. Hanggang sa muli dito po sa programa ng Power to Unite with Elvira.